All right, like it says, Josh McDaniels tried to sabotage Aidan O'Connell. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you. After this video, I bet you it makes a whole lot of sense to you. And if you like it and think it's a good idea, please share it. Let's try to get Mick Doofus back for what he tried to do to us as a Raider Nation. Okay. This is from what I've seen. This is from what I watched. No one told me this. This is just what I think I see as I analyze it. And I'm usually pretty decent at those things. So, from the very beginning, Josh McDaniels did not want to draft a quarterback. He wanted to go with Jimmy G, Brian Hoyer, and find Chase Garber and use him for his practice squad. So when Ziegler said he wanted to draft a quarterback, he said, no, I don't want to draft a quarterback. When he said he wanted to draft C.J. Stroud, he said, no, I don't want C.J. Stroud. And that's why we didn't use that pick. But Ziegler said, look, I still have to do my job, and I'm drafting a quarterback this year. Even if it's later rounds, I'm finding somebody that I want to draft. And that's when Aidan O'Connell came into the picture. Now, Josh wasn't worried about it. He's seen what Aidan O'Connell do on film, but he wasn't really worried about what he thought Aidan O'Connell was going to do at camp because he's a rookie. So, I have down here chronological order in this mug on this piece of paper so I can tell you what I see, what I saw. Some of it I go back and look and say, oh, how come I didn't see that? And some of the stuff I'll go back and see, I guess I was kind of off there. But in the end, I do believe that was completely true. We'll go through all the concepts and let's see what you guys think when I'm done with it. Okay, so let's start off with the camp. So, like I said, Josh McDaniels thought that he wasn't going to have anything to worry about. Aidan comes to the camp. Jimmy's hurt and can't do anything, so Aidan has to be the number one cornerback. Aidan's working out with everybody, and, Aidan's doing pretty daggone good. The team started to notice, hey, Aidan's doing pretty good. He's the only one we're working with, and things are working out pretty well. And you could see how well things were going, how nice everything looked just from the way it looked at preseason. I'm not going to talk about the preseason. We'll bring that up later. But the team was getting quite enamored, I believe, with Aidan O'Connell's abilities during spring training. And there was buzz, there was talk. But it wasn't, he's going to start over Jimmy talk. It was just like, hey, I think we got us a pretty good kid. Okay, so continue forth. And the team is like, yeah, I think we got a pretty good kid. And Josh doesn't like that. Josh doesn't need to see Aidan get any love at all because it stops him from it's not part of his plan. Aidan is not supposed to be in his plan. So we go through that. Josh sees what's going on. He decides, okay, I got to start getting people to hate this kid because if he starts getting any type of press, we're going to have a problem. And he knows that from the beginning, before anybody else thinks about it, okay? So how does he start to sabotage Aidan O'Connell? We'll start right here. The very first thing he does is give him number 4, okay? Immediately, half of Raider Nation hates him. Who is he? Why would he do that? How could he do that? Why? How dare he? There's no reason anyone should ever do that when it comes to a team. Somebody should hold that number with some respect, especially since the quarterback who wore that number for the last 9 years just left the team and the whole fan base is still a little sore. But now we look back and we see that Josh McDaniels assigned the number to him. That means a little something. That he did that on purpose. Looking back, I see more why something like that he did on purpose. But at first, it was kind of unclear. But once I was able to get through everything, then I could go back and see other subtleties that happened that led me to, believe that this was a conspiracy that he was designing. Okay, so after that, we've talked about how Aidan was killing it in preseason. He looked great. Everybody's like, wow, this guy's looking super. He's the next best thing since sliced butter and toast. And a lot of people were saying that, not Raider fans, but people across the league. If you just go back to what was going on in preseason and how he was tearing it down. The whole league knew of Aidan O'Connell at that point, and that scared Josh McDoofus to death. Now, all of a sudden, not is there a chance or larger chance of a quarterback controversy inside the spot, there's a quarterback controversy throughout the whole NFL. To a certain extent, no one's saying that people were trying to throw Aidan in, but everybody was looking at the film like, hey, this kid's pretty good. And that drove Josh crazy. He could not have Aidan looking pretty good. He had to stop that. And so he continues with slowing this down. So, season starts. And McDaniels refuses to put Aidan on the list. And that's something that teammates and the owner are concerned with. I realize after a little more, as like I said, I consume more information. But McDoofus convinces them that he's not ready to go in and win a game for us the way Brian Hoyer is ready to go in and win a game for us. Other people are thinking, so what? We think he's better. If Jimmy gets hurt, we're going to want who we think is better to play in the game. McDoofus is having none of it. It's not part of his plan. His marriage is to Jimmy G. So, finally, we go into the season. Jimmy starts stinking bad, okay? And the controversy sneaks into the locker room. You may not see it, but it looked like it to me. I think there were subtle hints that were being given when, if you listen to what Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs were saying in certain press conferences. Like I said, these are my observations. I'm not saying it's perfectly correct, but this is what I saw when they answered the question. One of the times, Devontae Adams was saying that the way our offense is going, I think if we use more of the correct personnel, we'd be excelling more. And later he was asked, what did he mean by that? And he says at that time, those people who I needed to hear it, heard it and understand it, and I didn't say it to you. And I think that was a suggestion in that instance that not using all of our personnel correctly was hinting at we're playing Jimmy and we should be playing Aidan. That's my personal feeling as far as the guest may, and people can stand reaching. The second one that I wanted to say was when Josh Jacobs was asked, what do you think we could do to change the team and help us going in the right direction? Again, I could be reaching, but it seemed like he thought for a second. And in that second, he wanted to say what he wanted to say. But then he ended up saying, that's not my job. I'm not going to say what I want to say because it's not my job. It's not my place. And I don't want to deal with it. And I really feel like he was talking about how he would like a change. Again, I'm reaching. The change may not have been O'Connell in his eyes. But that's what I saw. It's another thing that led me to a certain situation. Now, once Jimmy gets hurt, the ownership, in my opinion, Dante leaned on McDoofus and said, okay, Jimmy's not playing. We know you put Aidan in third, but now we know that there's not a chance of injury to Jimmy. We know who's starting, and we can go into the game starting that quarterback. So we want Aidan to start. McDoofus does not want Aidan to start. He cannot see Aidan succeed because it interferes with his dream of he and Jimmy. Okay. So we get to the point where Josh is getting pressured. He's so irritated that he has to, acquiesce to the forces and put in Aidan to start. So what does he do? He throws Aidan under the bus, people. If you go back and look at the tape, Okay. Why, if you have a rookie who's never played in the league and you feel is not ready, why would you have him throw the ball for daggone near 40 times? If you think he can handle it, and you think, and at the point we were still hoping for Josh Jacobs to come further out of his shell, being that he was the best running back in the league last year, and you're in a must-win game because it's a game against a league rival. Why would you put in a quarterback that you don't trust and make him throw the ball 40 times? It doesn't make any sense to you either. Think about that. Why would you force him into the situation, then force him to do so many things and force him into trying to make him bad plays? Now, let's go into that game and the bad plays. Because what was the biggest thing about the plays is what Josh McDaniels wanted to do is highlight Aidan's shortcomings, so there'd be no talk in the NFL world. There'd be no talk to the fandom. He can look at the ownership and say, look, we tried. I put him in. He didn't perform. Now, let's look at how his performance went. Because let's say he just had a terrible game. He threw with three interceptions and the fumbles. It's 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions. I'm sorry I didn't do the numbers better before I started making the video. What it was he had quite a few turnovers, and we all remember that he got sacked 7 times. Now, at the end of that game, it was his final throw that was an interception. People don't remember that, okay, he threw an interception on the last play of the game. But if he had completed that pass, we would have won the game, or we could have won the game because we could have gone for 2. So let's go to that incompletion. Earlier, if you go back and watch the tape, you'll see that the play that Josh McDaniels called for that interception was ran earlier at the exact same time. I think it was the same down, but it was first, or it was goal and 4 yards. You were 4 yards away from the goal line. So I don't remember if it was 1st and 4, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 4. Whatever it was 4 yards from the goal line, and we ran a play. The play that we ran was a quick under slant to Jacoby Myers and Devontae clearing that area by just doing a straight up and off to the corner, if you're aware of what those patterns mean. So they run through it the first time. The first time he goes through it, and Jacoby's not watching the pass come towards him, and it looks like it's stuck. So he throws the ball away, plays dead. Okay. Once he gets to the sideline, McDoofus, if you find the film, I don't know exactly where it is, but he drives into Aidan O'Connell just like you've seen him drive into people before. Hooting, hollering, and screaming after throwing the ball away when it looked like that was the right decision. Okay. What I saw was he jumped on him and said, you throw that ball. I don't care if it looks like he's looking or not. It's a timing route. He knows when to turn his head around. Don't worry about what he's looking at. You worry about getting the ball out there. That's what I believe he said. So, come the next time around, same yardage, same situation. He runs the exact same play. But this time, not only is it not open, but they know the play is coming. So instead of manning up and trying to switch with the routes, they just zone up and stay in their lane. So Jacoby does his route. When Jacoby does his route, he still, again, is not looking for the ball. But Aidan was told, throw the ball no matter what. He's going to be there. The play's designed to do that. You do what I say, not what you think. So the play comes up. He's forced into that throw, and he throws a pick, but it's going to be a pick. Of course it's going to be a pick because the defense already knows the play is going to be. He ran it before in the game in the same instance. And that's the last play he used for the game. Come on. And then as soon as he gets up in the press conference, what does he start talking about? Oh, well, anybody who was any type of pro could have made that play. He's a rookie. He didn't make the play, and that's why I didn't want to play. That's why I thought he wasn't quite ready because he made some rookie errors. Okay, fine. That's what happened. But look more at the press conference, and they say Khalil Mack had 7 sacks. At what point did you think about double teaming him? And then he says, oh, we double team him a number of times. We tried many different techniques. We tried tipping. We tried chopping. We did rub routes, double teaming. We tried many things, and it just didn't work. Fast forward to the next day. Some people caught on to that little snippet of wording he put out there and say, okay, so what is that number of times that he tried to double team Khalil Mack? And that number that he spoke of was 2. He tried 2 times to double team a defensive rusher who's having the game of his life. Now, think about this. He gave plenty of instances of ways that they tried to do the double team, right? 3 or 4 different ways that they tried to double team him. But the truth is, he only tried 2 different ways. And that's actually true because you can look at the numbers. So why would he suggest he tried 4 different ways at a minimum, because that's what he said, 3 different ways, but actually it was only 2. You could say that maybe he just misspoke. You could say a number means any number and it doesn't matter, is just open to interpretation. But to me, if you say you did it a number of times and the number you explained is 3 or 4 times and you know you only did it twice, well, that's a lie. If you have information that you know is correct, and then you have off that information in a manner that it's not relayed to be correct. So Josh McDaniels and his lawyer speak kind of tripped them up on that one. Again, you could say I'm going too far deep into this, but you only lie if you have something to cover up. And he lied. What was he covering up? The fact that he wouldn't double team Khalil Mack. Why wouldn't he double team Khalil Mack? Because he wanted Khalil Mack to go off so we could accentuate the shortness in Aidan O'Connell's game, which is his mobility, and the fan base was going to go nuts. This guy is wearing number 4. So what he did in the preseason, Josh McDaniels, every time they bring it up, oh, it's just preseason, it's just preseason, just preseason. So when they finally get him into the season and he does terribly because McDoofus set him up to go down, of course everybody's going to look at him like, dang, he stinks. Don't put him on the field no more. Why did he put him on the field? That was it for him. And that's what Josh McDaniels wanted. He had the steam off his back. He got that monkey off his back. He threw that interception, that last interception, when you see Josh McDaniels on the sideline, he had his head down, his legs wide, like, he didn't have his head down like, oh, I'm so pissed off. And, oh, my head's down. No, he had his head down in relief, like, whoo, God, if he'd have made that pass, oh, I don't know what would have happened. I had the problems, and he would have had problems. So you had to make sure he lost that game. And people may say that why would he throw a game? Each game is important. He's talking about 6 years that he's rolling with here. This game isn't important. He knows he's not going to have a winning season. He's setting himself up for season 3. He's trying to get him and Jimmy to do it together. So now Aidan's off the charts. No one thinks about Aidan. No one wants Aidan. The only people that really think Aidan should be there still is Mark Davis, and in my opinion, Devontae Adams, and maybe a couple other players that started to talk to him about it by this point. Because they saw Josh McDaniels' lies. Okay, so the next time this comes around, Jimmy's hurt again. He said, hey, we seen you been hiding Aidan on 3rd string so he can't get into the game. We're going to do this like we did this in the Chargers, and we're going to expect him to start. And Josh is like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do what's best for the team. We're going to take a number of looks, and once we finish out with how many looks and figure out what we think would go best for the style of the team against all his lawyer talk, and then we'll decide on Sunday. He did that lawyer talk to everybody, including Mark Davis, and then Sunday came, and Everybody wanted Aidan O'Connell to play, and Brian Hoyer started the game. Josh McDoofus just said, I'll do what I want to do. You can't tell me how to control my team. I'm the head coach. That's what I saw. So that's when Mark Davis had enough. And at that same time, in that area of time, McDaniels sets up this meeting about, is everybody as unhappy as everybody thinks everybody is? And everybody says, yeah, I'm just as unhappy as everybody else is in here. Matter of fact, you is this and this and this and that and this. And does everybody feel that way? And unanimously hands went up. He stepped back and said, I know I can't explain myself out of this. They're seeing through me. Let's get somebody they like up there, try to calm everybody's nerves up there, because if I get up there, they're going to holler at me like nothing else. So he throws AP out there. AP goes out there. He does his thing. He talks to the team. The whole team is like, they're relaxed. They're actually even more motivated. They're kind of hyped up because, man, if anybody's seen AP at any interview, and if you've seen anybody who saw anybody or who did an interview with AP, you see when they're done with the interview, they're like, yeah, man, I'm ready. Let's do this. And I know a lot of Reddit fans out there just after watching his first inning was like, let's go, baby. He's always like that. And I'm sure he gave Mark Davis that same talk when that time was to come. So now he knows the team hates Josh. Josh has not been listening to Mark, and he's not been listening to his players. Okay. And that's when he's had enough. That's when Mark says, okay, we're going to start getting this stuff in order. That's when Mark calls AP and says, we're getting stuff in order about certain things. We're exactly and not exactly sure where we want to go. We're going to go with this and be ready for us to call you back about that. Till then, let's not mention it to anybody, even at all. And even if we don't go forward with you, we still need you to keep this as just a personal conversation as far as the possibility of us making you the head coach. He hangs up the phone. That's when if you listen to AP describe the situation, how it went down, he says, and that's when I went out and I looked out and I said, this could really happen. And so I'm not sure if he got the whole explanation about why it may go down as far as my conspiracy goes, but it seemed like he got talked. He was told a few things about why they're going to go this direction or why they may not. Then Davis went in and had his final chance. He said, you know what? I can't blow this up like this. I see everything's going right. It's about to swirl through and go right down with the deuce, right? So me and Josh have got to have this last and final conversation, which it ended up being the last and final conversation, and see if we can come eye to eye on this, because it's too much to go through just because I'm irritated. They got to be smarter about this. So he goes, in my opinion, he goes to McDoofus and says, look, man, we got to make this work. This is what I want. I feel like when you started Brian Hoyer, you just spit in my face as the owner of the franchise. You know what I'm expecting, what I want as far as getting Aidan O'Connell in there to get his reps, especially when we know Brian Hoyer is not going to be here for us next year, and he definitely won't be here in 3 years. We need to see what Aidan O'Connell is going to be doing this year as many times as we can. Not that you got to take Jimmy off the spot, but we need to see more Aidan when we have a chance to see Aidan. And I believe that McDoofus was like, this is my team. I'm the head coach. You don't tell me what to do and how to run my team. I'll put them in if I want to, and if I don't want to, I won't put them in. And that's when McDaniels said, all right, well, I've tried. We've talked. This is over, and you're fired. And he was so upset that he called his wife and kids and said, hey, y'all got to come home. I just been fired. Honey, the kids are really having a good time. They're out here. Well, I don't care what their friends are doing. I'm fired. You want to date Christian McCaffrey anyway. That's a different story. They called him home anyway. So, with that being a conspiracy and what I think now, let me tell you exactly why I think this all went down for McDoofus in the way he made this happen. McDoofus had a dream. McDoofus was successful, and now we see now, especially more exploratively, since we've been through what he's been through and seen what Brady's done in his Super Bowl victory. He's been successful under Bill and Brady, and then it was McDoofus, right? But he felt like, I could do this. I don't need Brady and I don't need Bill. And when Jimmy G came in, and there was a little bit of controversy for a quarter of a second of, well, maybe we should get Jimmy G to get some reps, get him some starts before time. And that was going on for a second. And people may not remember that, but you can go back and check the clips. So Josh was like, I'm gonna prove the world wrong. Me and Jimmy, we gonna prove the world wrong. This is my dream. I got the dream job. I got total control. The owner doesn't know how to do football. He's gonna trust me for the next 6 years. I got the cash. I got the time. Now all I need is to get all my new personnel. That's why he was able to bring in Jimmy. That's why he was ready to bring in Brian. That's why he got Dave Ziegler hired. That's why they were able to get in he was able to bring in so many of his Patriots players. So he took the team. He wanted to make the vision of his love of going to the Super Bowl with he and Jimmy, and no direct association to Bill or Tom. It was us who did it. I told you, world, that it could be us. And it fell apart in his lovely little hands, and all because he had Aidan O'Connell on his team, and he had to sabotage Aidan O'Connell to try to save Jimmy Garoppolo's career so he could run his dream of being a Super Bowl champion without those two on top of him, and he get all the shine. And it all fell in on him and collapsed in his face because he died on the hill. It's either me and Jimmy G or nothing. And he ended up with nothing. And that's why Antonio Pierce was made the head coach. And simultaneous that day, when the reports came out, Aidan O'Connell was named the starter. So that also means something to me. If as soon as Doofus got out, Aidan was the starter. Not the next day, that day. And who thinks that linebackers coach getting his first chance to be an NFL QB going to go in, and the first thing he going to do is bench the starting quarterback? Really? Who would go for that? What owner would say, if that's what you think you want to do, it was terrible before you got there, do whatever you want? Really? Or did the owner want Aidan out there too, so it wasn't that it was Pierce's decision? Because who would let a rookie, a head coach, come in and just change the whole landscape unless the landscape is terrible? Why would he take out the starting quarterback unless he didn't want him? They wouldn't have let him come in and bench Max Crosby. They wouldn't let him come right in and say Jacoby Myers isn't playing anymore. They wouldn't, because that's not where the problem was, and everybody was aware of that. So they brought in Aidan, and everything started going uphill. I did other videos about how the improvement came after Aidan as far as the offense, the defense, the wins, and point totals as far as games go. I know none of it he gets any credit for, because obviously it has nothing to do with him. It's only because AP became the head coach, and not because they changed the starting quarterback. And that really is the narrative that a lot of people have, and a lot of people really want to stick to. We won, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. We got better, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. Our passing team got better, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. Everybody's numbers went up, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. We had a better record, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. We had less interceptions than we had in the first 8 weeks, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. We had more touchdowns than we had under Jimmy G, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. We scored the most points ever in the history of the franchise, but it wasn't because of Aidan O'Connell. And all this he done under the pressure of his head coach trying to put him down, trying to sabotage his whole daggone career for his only love of himself.